begin at the Pentagon, where the Secretary of War is now a Secretary on Defense on two fronts. First, with the deadly campaign against alleged drug cartel boats in the Caribbean. Two senior military officials went to Capitol Hill today for classified briefings with top lawmakers on those strikes. There have been more than 20 since September, including one that was announced just moments ago. You are looking at brand new video of a brand new strike in the Eastern Pacific. U.S. Southern Command says the boat was carrying illegal drugs. They did not provide any proof. And they said the strike killed 4 alleged narco-terrorists. All of this at the direction of Secretary Hegseth. But the focus today was not on this most recent briefing, this bombing that just happened, but on the very first one on September 2nd. Because in that case, there was a second follow-up bombing that targeted 2 survivors, and it has led to accusations of a possible war crime. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Admiral Frank Bradley, a commander who oversaw that attack, defended it. Lawmakers said Bradley denied that Secretary Hegseth ever issued an order to, quote, kill them all. That is despite reports that say otherwise. And those lawmakers saw the unedited video of both of those strikes for the very first time. The reaction was mostly along party lines. Congressman Jim Himes, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, called the video one of the most troubling things he's ever seen. He said it shows America clearly attacking shipwrecked sailors, a violation of the Pentagon's own law of war manual. It was a sentiment echoed by Democratic Senator Chris Coons.
I think it'd be hard to watch this series of videos and not be troubled by it. I have more policy questions than ever about the framing of the mission, the rules of engagement.
Republicans, on the other hand, were more reassured. Senator Tom Cotton, the top Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, says the video showed those survivors were trying to get back on the boat. He said it appeared to him they were trying to radio drug cartels and that the second attack to kill them was justified.
Saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists.
For his part, Secretary Hegseth says he watched the initial strike live, but that he then left the room before it was finished. He said it was Admiral Bradley who gave the order to bomb a second time, and that he fully stands by Admiral Bradley's decision. Let's go right now to NewsNation's Joe Khalil, live for us on Capitol Hill. Joe, what have you been hearing from lawmakers as they finally got their first look at the unedited video today?
Well, that was really the focus, Elizabeth. It was less about the briefing itself they got. Certainly, they did have the opportunity to ask questions of Admiral Bradley, but it was the fact that they saw this video from September 2nd for the first time that elicited the reactions that we saw today. And you mentioned that it was a bit different in terms of perception based on who we spoke to, and it did seem to fall along party lines. There are now no more questions about factually what happened. There was a first strike on one boat. There were 2 survivors, and then a second strike that killed those 2 survivors. The question coming out of this briefing really was, did those 2 survivors have to die? Were they imminent threats to military personnel, or were they, as some Democrats described it, sort of defenseless and really not in a position to be able to elicit any help or to be any further threat to military personnel? We know that in subsequent strikes, there have also been survivors that have not been killed, but instead have been apprehended. Take a listen to what the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, said after having a private briefing, actually, the only member in that room with the Admiral. Take a listen here.
Video was very disturbing, and I think Congress needs to see it. I think as well that the legal opinion underlying this whole policy actions, frankly, frankly, needs to be released publicly.
So his counterpart, Republican Senator Tom Cotton, obviously had a very different take and said this is a positive thing, and the way that this strike was carried out was exactly the right way. We talked to another Republican senator, Senator Jim Banks, who was not actually in the room today, but afterwards talked to us about what comes next, and we wanted to know whether he was among even Democrats and some Republicans who've been calling for more transparency and who've been calling for just more communication between the Department of War and Congress on this issue. This is what he told us here.
If a narco-terrorist is preparing to send poison into America to kill Americans, we should totally take that out before it happens. We should take them out before they get a chance to do that.
Even if it's on Venezuela.
I'll defer to the Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary of War how to do that, when to do it. But here's the big point. Put these narco-terrorists on notice. We will kill you. If you try to kill Americans, we will kill you first.
Admiral Bradley, Elizabeth, did tell several lawmakers today that there was no kill everyone order from Secretary Hegseth, as had been reported. There are still some Democrats who came out of those briefings and had questions about who ultimately made the call to initiate that second strike on September 2nd. Was it Secretary Hegseth or was it Admiral Bradley? At least Senator Warner says he wants to get some more information before he can fully answer that question.
Yeah, and Secretary Hegseth obviously doubling down, because even as all this was going on, another strike happened, and they just released the video of it. Yeah. Joe, this isn't the only drama going on in Secretary Hegseth's career right now. We also got the long-awaited watchdog report on Secretary Hegseth's role in Signalgate. He was texting out what looked to be classified or top-secret war plans on a text chain that included accidentally a reporter from the Atlantic magazine.
Yeah, and if you remember back to when that story first broke, these plans that were being texted out were not something that was theoretical or weeks down the road. These were sort of imminent attack plans that were being sent on the Signal app. The Inspector General's report effectively concluded that there was highly sensitive information that was shared on his private phone, on the app, which is obviously not a government-certified means of communication for that kind of material, and that sharing of the material did put American military personnel at risk. Now, Secretary Hegseth, for his part, says he took the Inspector General's report to be a total exoneration of himself. Obviously, a very different read of that report here on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I think the words in the report say differently. Joe Khalil, thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.